Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
Good morning. Could we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to Lorain County Board of Commissioners meeting, March 14th, 2018. Mr. Lundy.
Our inspirational word, do everything possible on your part to live in peace with everybody.
Your dog, Commissioner Kokoski.
Yeah. Well, we have a 3-year-old male Maltese. He was found in Lorain. He is the sweetest little dog ever. If you want him, come down to the kennel on Saturday. That's when he will be available for adoption. How many dogs do we have, Tim? 24 dogs, so we have more to choose from if you want a bigger dog or this is not quite your style. So come on down to the kennel and pick one out for your family. Remember, adopt, don't shop. Come on.
Madam Clerk.
At 9:40, we'll have a presentation on the zone opportunity under resolutions number 1, investments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I'm sorry.
Mr.
Still don't
Kayla.
have him trained.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
No advances, no repayments, requisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Travel.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within the jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
Mr. Cordez.
Thank you, Commissioner. I do have a number of personnel issues I'd like to talk with the board about. A little bit more specifically, potential hires at Job and Family Services, maintenance, collection center. Also like to discuss a pending legal matter and continued sale of real estate. And also, believe it or not, getting ready to plan for our summer bargaining sessions. And it sounds early, but it'll be here in a few months. There's a few things I want to talk about with regard to that. Our first round of negotiations started with the steelworkers midsummer, and there's a few things we need to start dealing with. All of those issues are allowable under the Sunshine Act for executive session discussions, so I'd ask at the conclusion of our regular board meeting, we go into executive session and we talk about those matters that I've outlined. Thank you.
Thank you.
Approve and waive the reading of the minutes of March 7th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Authorize payment of $1,000 to Boyer and Cool Home for Funerals, Lorain, for indigent veteran Craig L. Moore, Sheffield Lake, in accordance with the ORC 5901.25.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under Developmental Disabilities, approve transfer by warranty deed to Raymond Figueroa at 250 9th Street, Elyria, for parcel 1626-019-101-005.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Can I just talk to these just for a second?
Sure.
The reason we're dealing with these is that all of these parcels are titled to the commissioners, titled to the county, and as such titled to the commissioners. We worked with the DD. They're moving away from providing their own setting in the community and services. So these were some of the group homes they had that we've had up for sale. Purchase Department did a really good job. It was pretty much of a long slug getting these properties sold. We've sold a couple, and these are, I believe, the last two in partner with the DD. The funds from these, even though they're titled to the county, will go back to the DD. They were purchased with DD funds. And so those transfers and everything will take place after the closing of these properties. So you'll see additional paperwork on this coming through. But it was a good job by our purchasing department to get them posted, and I wish it had gone easier. We finally had to break through the regulation, which it allows us to do, to pierce that, to go directly to a real estate agent and get them listed. As you know, when we dispose of property, we have to put it for competitive bid first, and there's a long, lengthy process till we can go to a direct sale. So it takes time, and people get frustrated, but we were able to conclude this. So thank you very much.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundey.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Approve transfer warranty deed to Lead Gen Chain in Karina Abalone at 335 East College Street, Oberlin, parcel 087104021, 22, and 23.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundey.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under Domestic Relations, approve amendment to the sub-grant agreement with the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services to add the Ohio Department of Medicaid as a new party to the agreement. This is for Domestic Relations Court. Read-only access to ODM's Medicaid information technology systems to confirm managed care plans for youth in placement and care.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundey.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under the engineer, advertised bids for Columbia West River Road 0564 culvert replacement in Columbia Township. Notice to be in the Chronicle on March 16th and 23rd and open at 2 p.m. on April 25th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundey.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Amendment Resolution 18153 adopted February 28th, authorizing ODOT to establish a safe and speed zone study on Henwell Road, Eaton Township. Amendment is to reflect a reasonable speed of 35 miles per hour on Henwell Road to include Marion Road between Henwell and Brokow Roads in Eaton Township.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundey.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Burdez.
Well, Commissioners, yesterday we priced our bonds for the Justice Center. That was the refinance. We had done a refinance several years ago when the market was fairly favorable to us, and we had saved a few $1 million actually back then. Yesterday we priced, and we were able to, over the remaining issuance, save an additional $805,000 on that
Beautiful.
issuance. Brought the effective rate down to about a little bit less than 3.5 on the finance on the bonds. The opportunity to save was much greater a few years ago because we had some high-paying bonds from the early 2000s, high-yielding bonds, excuse me. But it was still a very successful sell yesterday. We had anticipated at the top end about $600,000, but as the day progressed, it was obvious that we had found a hole in the market. Those things are always temporary, and so we were able to do about 20 or 25% better than we had anticipated. Overall, I was very pleased with that refinance and that sale. I will suggest this is probably the last windows of opportunity we're going to have on anything that we're looking at. The market has been moving up, but it's still, in the spot market, there's still some availability. Anything less than 3.5 is still a tremendous rate right now.
Right.
So I'm really looking at everything we have, but we've been so aggressive on the refinancing and on the rates. There's not much more room for additional savings in those issuance. So that'll be coming to you, but I signed off on that all yesterday per the resolutions. Just wanted to let you know that we had a successful event. You never know going into those. The good thing is that we can't find our sweet spot. We just don't go forward.
Yeah, you pass.
We have a couple 10,000s in the attempt, which you always have to pay, counsel and all that, and prepare all the documents to go to market. But it's always a little bit nerve-wracking because you know what's going on in the stock market, the bond market is very volatile out there. So good job to our underwriters and, of course, our bond counsel. They've been with us a long time. They do a really good job for us. The budget department, Lisa's always working on that. I think they drive a little crazy sometimes with some of the things they're asking for, but as you know from going to
Right.
Manhattan last year, meeting with the rating agencies, I will tell you, though, that we do need to go again. We have a lot of outstanding construction notes that we need to move to permanent financing, and of course, we're picking up $5 million in construction notes here shortly to start the the intermodal station, the train station piece of the intermodal. And we'll need some additional financing there. That's a pay and draw, and depending on how fast we can do that and get into the money, will depend on how much we need in liquidity to meet our cash demands on that. So more to come on that. But because we're issuing so much temporary debt, and then we have the permanent debt we're going to finish up on the 911 center, we really need to go talk to them again. We're in a pretty good financial shape, as I've shown you through the various things over the last few weeks. You know, I'm hoping that we can demonstrate stability. They've been strong with us through the recession. I want to start working in the next year or two towards an upgrade. With the recent strengthening and revenues and of course the good management of debt, and then bringing down our overall cost of paying off the debt service, I think we're in a good position to try to move towards, you know, a positive upgrade or a more positive rating. So that'll come in the future. I do have a question here for Don. He's here. You know, Don, I know I held up on these chips.
Yes.
You know, and I had some concerns, but do we have a timely issue on those?
We do, unfortunately. These bids were originally opened on February 2nd, and so it took us a while to go through, confirm the bids, and get everything written up and do the research. In fact, one of the bids I actually had to withdraw from consideration to the board until we get some matters straightened out. But if there's any way we could award these today, it would be much helpful to our cause and spending
This
the
is
money.
the chip program. We're still suffering from a lack of bids with regard to getting people out to the work site. There's lots of invitations faxed and sent out, and the participation is anemic, and it's gotten a little worse. So I had actually pulled them off the agenda to talk to Don. Was rather than strengthening our presence with the local community vendors, we have actually taken a turn the other way. So that's why I wanted to ask Don as a timeliness issue. I'm going to pass these to you. We have sufficient bids, but I would have liked to have more than, a couple of them only had one and some had two. And you can see we've sent out 20 plus invitations in some points to the folks who are just not coming out. So I actually want to get with the Chamber of Commerce, make a presentation at the Chamber of Commerce with their membership, and do another outreach event to try to bring in more business. But
What about the BIA?
That's who the.
well, we've met with the BIA many
Right.
times. Most of the folks with the BIA are not really into putting a roof on a building. They're builders, and some of them are construction, but for the most part, they're builders. I think that we need to work with the Chamber of Commerce. Their membership has improved there significantly. And I'm going to start going out and meeting with some of these businesses and finding out why we're not getting the bids. I believe it's the complication with the regulations that they have to follow through the CHIP program.
And everybody's extremely busy, Jim.
They are busy. I recognize that, but some of these are nice jobs, Commissioner. You know, they're not $600, $700, $800 jobs. Some of these are several thousand dollars for a whole rip off of a roof and a replacement. And I just don't understand why we're not getting the bids. We got a little better, and then it slipped again, so we're going to go out there and make the effort. But I don't want to lose the ability to spend down our CHIP money in a timely fashion and then end up having to return it. I think we can prove that we've made the competitive approach. We just haven't received the results we're looking for.
Yeah, it's frustrating, and I know that's something we always talk to you about, Don, about trying to make sure we reach out to the local businesses, give them an opportunity, and as I could see there's 21 invites and maybe one response, and 15 invites and 2 responses, and
Yes.
so it is frustrating.
Madam Clerk?
Well, there's no resolution here. Let's see.
Motion to approve the CHIP
Uh,
awards? Is that enough or no?
Well, one's going to JD Indoor Comfort for, I'm just gonna round off the numbers.
Okay.
Okay, for like $6,000 to, I'm not sure who, like $7,000 to Homeworks,
Mhm.
and is the third one, yeah, the third one is Homeworks too, so that looks like to be like $8,000 to Homeworks as well. And one's in, the JD Comfort is a home for Sheffield Lake. This Homeworks is for a
Excellent.
roof in Oberlin, and another roof, it looks like, in New Russia Township.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was just worried about the timeliness of that and getting those done. We will make another push into the community. I think we did an event once before. I think we need to do it again. I'm worried about the state. They always look at, they like to have 3 quotes on stuff. But after talking to Don and talking to other communities that are facing they're having similar problems in their community. I know it may appear that they're busy, but there's a lot of complication in complying with everything that's in the requirements to do the reimbursements and the various bureaucratic regulations they gotta step through, and a lot of folks just don't want to be concerned.
I did a lot of that stuff in my past life.
I understand. So I'm believing it's more that than the amount of volume of work they have, because we're not even getting them out on the site to bid. And normally we can get them out on the site. They may not make a bid, but we're not even getting them out there.
Yeah, one of the biggest complications for the smaller firms as well is the need to have lead licenses.
That's why I forgot you told me that.
Yeah, so one of the things that with the new group, WSOS, that the board just approved a resolution for, I think it was a week ago, for our next CHIP program, is we are working with them to try and make available free lead training to get more licensed to be able to participate as well.
And we've worked with that company. They've done Erie County.
Correct.
And we've been a sub-recipient under them before.
Well, they were actually a sub-recipient with us on NSP 1 with the state.
So we have familiarity with them when we were working on the lead abatement in some of the homes years ago. So maybe this will give us a tool to work with these folks. But they also have to be bonded, I think, under that lead, don't they?
Well, they have to be licensed by the state. Now, I'm not sure if the state requires a bond or not. That's something they have to look at. It's through the Ohio Department of Health.
Okay, thanks, Tom.
You're welcome. Thank you very much again
I know
for
we got
that.
a presentation one. I'll yield to council. Thank you.
Mr. Innes?
I do have some issues regarding a property acquisition that I would like to discuss with you in executive session.
No bevy today, huh?
No,
bevy?
no.
No bevy?
No litigation.
Would you call it not a boatload?
Commissioners report.
Well, Thursday I chaired the Keep Lorain County Beautiful meeting, and we held that at Republic over on Oberlin and Elyria Road. We had a nice turnout for that, and just working towards projects that'll be coming up this summer. After that meeting, I attended a seminar at Gates Auditorium regarding medically assisted treatment for those seeking help to recover from their addiction. I was surprised to learn that the addict should stay on either Suboxone or methadone for 2 years along with treatment, so it's a lot longer than I had understood. So the guy, he was very informative. They had some, you were able to get some credits if you were, like college credits, continuing education credits or whatever.
okay.
Yeah, CCUs or whatever, yeah. But he was very, very good. That evening, the Young Democrats held their People Who Make a Difference award night, and it went to Dan Ramos, who very much deserved that award. He's done a great job for us down at the state and term limited out, so he will no longer be representing us down there, unfortunately. Friday, I, along with numerous of my staff, attended an active shooter training that was put on by our Sheriff's Department. It was very informative, and it's my hope that we continue training so people know what to do in case of an emergency with an active shooter or any other type of emergency. And then Sunday, attended fundraiser for Mayor Zilka in Avon Lake, and him and his wife are such a class act. They're really great people. He had a nice turnout there, and then last night, Ken Carney for his fundraiser at Jackalope, and also a good turnout. End of my report.
Yeah, busy week. Friday, Governing Committee met for NOACA. One of the agenda items were awarding Transportation for Livable Communities Initiative project recommendations. Last year, we got the lakefront study at the county. We got the transit one, multiples. This year, study applications recommended City of Avon $30,000 towards their active transportation safe routes to school plan under planning. And then the implementation, $177,000 for the City of Elyria, Downtown Elyria Revitalization and Connectivity Phase 3. So Lorain County did pretty good this year. We've done better in past years, but again, it's got to be spread around. There's only $2 million total for all of it. But those were the two that were approved for funding. Also, Marizoka, nice fundraiser. Solid Waste Policy Committee met this week, going through additional parts of our plan as we get ready to submit going in. Keith Bailey, our director, announced his retirement. He'll be leaving us the end of April, so we are looking for a new solid waste director. It's been posted already. Keith has done a very nice job with us the last 8 years he's been with us. But he's moving on to retirement, and we'll be looking for a new director. Also, Restaurant Week, I got to one restaurant. I think it was a great week. I was at Veranda on Sunday. Fantastic meal. I actually ran into our county prosecutor. Jerry Innes was there also with folks having dinner. I spoke to the owner there, and I asked him, so how does Restaurant Week work out? He said he had to bring us in over 100 new customers, people actually asking about it. They ran out of food on Saturday for their special.
And
They reloaded for Sunday, huh?
So did Bistro 83.
Yep.
They ran out of the specials.
So, I mean, they did a really good job. Well, they, instead of the chocolate mousse, I got a triple chocolate cake for dessert. They were out of the cod, but you can't beat happy hour at the Veranda. It's $5 all day Sunday, by the way. But I
Right,
think it was
right in
successful.
your wheelhouse on Sunday.
Right in my wheelhouse.
I'll leave that alone. I will tell you that I visited 3 restaurants. I was going to go to a 4th on Sunday, but I didn't get out. I have to echo what you said. I spoke to the owners at each facility, and they were having a tough time meeting the demand for restaurant night. Thankfully, they substituted some things into it, so they didn't just not do the restaurant launch. The Veranda has been relaunched and rebranded.
Right.
It's new. It's different owners over there, so it's nice to see them. They're right on the border, so they compete heavily with Westlake to bring traffic over, as does Nemo's. Was another restaurant. I did not make it to Nemo's. But
My daughter did that Friday night. 2 of my daughters went there Friday night, so it was very good.
It's about driving traffic here. It's also about keeping traffic here. When Cleveland and Cuyahoga have restaurant week, lots of people leave here and go there, and they spend disposable income there. Sometimes people wonder why we're doing this through the Visitors Bureau. They're saying, well, are you really getting people from outside your borders? Well, first, we got to keep people from leaving. So we have to provide opportunity from them here. When they want to stay here, other people will want to come here. So it's a combination approach to that. We went kind of head-to-head with the independents over in Cuyahoga County. We didn't go head-to-head with the Restaurant Week in Cuyahoga, but the independents ran theirs. They moved it up. I like to think that they moved it up because of us. I don't know.
I think it was because of the Easter holiday. when
It was,
fell.
but
It was Easter
it's
holiday, but you can
it's nice to
thank
think that they were competing with us.
Right.
Normally, they go much later in the month, and you're right, the holiday fell during their time period and it's a high volume time for them. They didn't want to have their Independence Week then. So, but I'm still telling the legend that they got mad at us and moved up to compete with us. The Independence area is a lot smaller than Restaurant Week itself, but the Independents do a fine job over in Cuyahoga County. But there was a lot of buzz, a lot of traffic. Every place I visited was pretty crowded, and there was a significant amount of the Restaurant Week meals being served. So it's nice to see what's going on here in Lorain County, and hopefully we'll do the lessons learned again, see what the voting looks like. There's no best.
Right.
Although 2 of the facilities were putting a knock out there for vote for best of in the Best of Lorain County, which is coming up in July.
Right, the same
So they were
time.
taking this opportunity to peddle themselves for a vote in the Best of Lorain County. I want to get that out to you next week. The ability to vote now is up.
Yep.
To get your favorite places in a lot of categories recommended. Next, we're going to put a big push on that so that people can get involved with that. I want to start blasting that through the social media. And we're hopeful to do a lot more this year with the Best of Lorain County. We don't have a lot of time, but I know we're going to improve it this year, and then next year is going to be just a blowout event. We're going to make it a must-attend event. But this year, we didn't have enough time to do it, but we are going to see a bigger approach this year in that. So more to come, Commissioner. Thanks for getting out there. I don't know if the other commissioners made it out to Restaurant Week or not.
Didn't make it. I
You
got
made it
stood
to
up.
Burger Week, though.
Oh, yeah, I did a lot of burgers.
Okay.
Also, one other thing, the power of social media. Last week, that big dog everybody saw I had on here, we posted it. We had 272 shares of that post. Over 20,000 people looked at it. And then one of our dedicated volunteers, Kelsey Dorsey, who was at the kennel 5 out of 7 days, I think, actually posted he was adopted and another dog at the same time. So it really works. So when you see those posts, please share them. Let's get those dogs adopted. And he was really a really good dog.
He was a gentle
yeah.
giant.
20,000 people looked at that, and 272 people shared it. So shows you power of social media. We can get those dogs out there. So end of my report.
We've also gotten dogs back to their owners by
Right,
doing
social
this too.
media, yes.
So, I mean, showcasing them here, and then somebody sees, oh, that's my dog.
I thought we were trying to get you adopted.
That's okay.
Anyhow, good luck on that one.
I'm adoptable.
Just want to say congratulations to the young Dems for a very successful event in Amherst the other week. And I got to tell you, Dan Ramos is just a great individual. I had the opportunity to serve with him in Columbus, one of the brightest minds down there. And, you know, obviously Dan worked for Joe Kazura before he became a state rep, and he was always one of our lead people on Finance Committee. Dan has extensive knowledge of how things operate in Columbus, and boy, with him being term limited, it definitely will be missed. Congratulations to the North Ridgeville City Schools. I had a chance to attend their State of the Schools address by Superintendent Jim Powell. Just a really great guy, very level-headed, and really does a great job with the students and the teachers and everyone over there, and just talking about all the new buildings, the new technology, the new classrooms. You can just feel the energy when you're over there. And he is going to be leaving, I think, in the end of June for a new superintendent coming in, but he's done a tremendous job in his short time there. Congratulations to the Lorain County National Council of Negro Women. They held their first banquet for the Lorain County Sheroes, honoring women in Lorain County, businesswomen and advocates throughout the community. 13 women were honored in all. Had a packed house over at Lorain County Community College there on Saturday, and just a great group, good conversation, good presentation, and much deserved recognition for those ladies. Congratulations to Mayor Zilka in Avon Lake. Had a very nice event on Sunday. I had the opportunity to also serve with him on Avon Lake City Council, and I don't think you can find an individual who is more reasonable and more fair than Greg Zilka as a public servant. Always looks at both sides of the issue and is a very fair man. Congratulations to the Lorain Historical Society. Had a chance to attend their Pasta Paradise on Sunday there on the lakefront. It turned out to be a pretty nice day, and certainly a lot of people there. Good conversation. Just a real great group of people. Really enjoyed the time there. You'll be hearing soon about a media update and a community update on how things are going with the assistance to the families that are transitioning here from Puerto Rico. I want to thank my colleagues for their support. I know this board has been involved in that from the standpoint of trying to help facilitate a lot of the discussions and try to bring everybody together so that we can help these families make a smooth transition. It's been going well. There's been plenty of challenges. We've tried to address those. There's still other challenges needing to be addressed, but we'll be having a full update on that next Monday over at El Centro. I believe that'll be at 2 o'clock. And just want to commend the students of Lorain County who are participating here shortly, I guess in a few minutes, in the national walkout. I think we were all teenagers once who all had a strong opinion about something at the time. But just really want to commend them for engaging in the democratic process, for standing up and speaking out. And I think anytime you engage in the democratic process and you can stand up and speak out, preferably in a peaceful and civil way, that it makes our democracy stronger. That completes my report.
Tomorrow we'll have our land bank meeting at 10. Board correspondence?
Will the reading be waived?
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Romancak, Opportunity Zones.
Morning again, Board. Thank you very much. It's been an interesting couple of months with what's been going on with the new Federal Tax Act. One of the things that was within that was the Opportunity Zones. Over the last couple of months, we've been trying to learn about it, and we had to make a submission by March 2nd to the state of Ohio through DSA on a website. We were fortunate enough to be well prepared. An opportunity zone is quite simply a new economic development tool that is being defined. There are no regulations yet out on it, but essentially it borrows heavily from new market tax credits in that it's targeting low-income census tracts and then its adjacent areas, and that funds will have to be invested into special vehicles in order to then have the tax treatment, and those opportunity funds will be invested into projects within the zones that are selected. The real incentive here is for people to, why would they make an investment, is so that they can reduce their tax liability on capital gains. The longer the money stays in, the better off the tax treatment, and you max out at 10 years. After 10 years in, actually you've reduced your capital gains that you originally would have been at risk of having to pay, and then also any capital gains that would have been earned during that time, you would not have to pay either. So this is a way for investors to reduce their tax bill to the federal government. You can only invest in opportunity zone property. Now, I probably should move these along while I go. So the incentive is really, it's the tax savings, and then property. Property is defined a little bit differently than in most. You can purchase stock. So if there's a company that is within an opportunity zone, you could purchase the stock of that company, or you can enter into a partnership. So owning a business or an entity that operates within the opportunity zone. And then probably what we're most familiar with would be actually investing in business property, real estate, machinery and equipment, those type of investments. These are all very vague yet. Again, we do not have any regulations to base this off. Of course, now it's a little slow. Oop. Well, how did we get here? We actually had to do a lot of research to figure out what the bill was. It was hidden in there. It took a long time for entities such as Enterprise Zone or Enterprise and other nonprofits to get the word out, CDFA, even the Department of Treasury. Essentially what we did was we had a lot of existing work so we could prioritize the zones within the county. Where are the jobs? Where are a lot of people already investing? What are the existing new market tax credit areas? And where did investment actually take place? And then also in conversations with partners. Overall, in our universe, we had 36 areas that would have been eligible. But one important thing about this law is that the governors are given only the ability to nominate up to 25% of all available low-income census tracts. And then to kind of further dilute that universe, you can also submit tracts that are adjacent to a low-mod income census tract. So in Lorain County, we had 36. If you just evenly apply it, 25%, we'd be about 8, maybe 9. We did submit 12. And I'll go into that a little bit. This is the area. The purple areas are the adjacent tracts. The blue areas are actually the traditional low-mod income census tracts. And what you see in green is areas that are actually traded sector job hubs. So those are where the priorities that the state had put together when they created Jobs Ohio, and Team NEO and us follow it. Some of it makes a lot of sense with the steel mill, with the industrial in Elyria that's there. So in our initial priorities, we had identified, again, we were concentrating on job creation and investment. Those are highlighted in yellow. And ultimately, we were able to come up to a list of 11. 5 were within the City of Lorain, mostly along the Black River, including the steel mill, the Finger Piers, its riverfront, the East Side Industrial Park. Elyria, which included the Midway Mall, where we've seen some real estate transactions, and then the Cleveland Boulevard or Cleveland Avenue extension, where the mayor again has done a lot of planning, and also Riddell has those buildings had just sold recently. Bendix is still there, so these are tools. And then we included the census tract that included 3M, which is on the market. and we see that as a very good opportunity. And then in Oberlin, both of their census tracts, one qualified, one was adjacent. Oberlin actually flipped. The west side of Oberlin was now considered low income, and the east side, which had always been the low income one, was not. But that east side one is an adjacent. That's where the Oberlin Inn is located. So we've already seen more than $30 million in private investment into that, along with additional tax credits that were used for projects in there. And then we capture their industrial park. So what we were looking at was real opportunities for investment to be able to see a return. And while that list is probably where the real details are, it might make a little more sense to just look at it aerial wide in the map. Anything in blue is what was submitted. And as you can see, the entire city of Oberlin, just because of how small it is in landmass, is actually contained in an opportunity zone, along with much of Elyria and much of Lorain. With that, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them, but unfortunately, we do not have a lot of details as we're waiting on regulation.
The couple things. First, great work. I want to put a thank you out there. We were able to get ahead of everybody on this because of our young Mr. Kalo, Ted's son, who works downtown Cleveland. They got a little bit of a lead in the banking business.
Right.
Than most of the community did here, and I got a call from Ted late one night that we know anything about this. I was sitting in the office still, and
Right.
well, it was about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I said, well, I heard something's coming up. He says, well, it's done. So before it even really hit the street in a big way, we were starting the wheels moving here in Lorain County that night. And I called Don and sent him stuff, and he answered me back with some emails about 11:30 that night. And so it was really hard to see what they really wanted to do here. I will say that several entities have submitted on behalf of Lorain County in different parts of Lorain County. I'm also pleased to tell you that they just took our work and submitted it for themselves. But everybody could submit, but the work that you see that was submitted by other entities and job, was it not job?
Team Neo
excuse me.
and I believe the fund as well.
Team Neo and so forth, they just basically took what we submitted, put their letterhead on it, submitted it. So it was the work of our people upstairs. There was no additional work done on this other than the work we did, and we were able to be prepared pretty well. Most people were looking at this the week before it was due. We were looking at it about 5 or 6 weeks out.
Yes.
There was a very short window of turnaround on this. I think we had about 5 weeks tops.
By the time ODSA actually set up the website so you could see the map and whatnot, yeah, it was probably closer to 4.
So, we got them submitted. I'm hopeful. I think they're going to designate the next few weeks, right?
I was going to ask the timeline. When is the government required to submit?
Well, that has gotten murky. It was supposed to be March 22nd, March 25th, and then there's been talk about extending that. So again, it's we're following it the best we can. Right now, our role is done. Other than if anyone can, get into the governor's mind and let him know that these really are key. We did not submit every eligible one that I think would weaken our hand and weaken our influence. So we spent some time, and then every one that was submitted actually has real value, real investment, either planned or existing already going on. I wish we could have submitted for all of Lorain County, but it's just not the way the rules are set up, and I think it would have hurt our chances. So we've prioritized based on our conversations with the board, conversations with the partners, and what's our best hand to play.
This is the behind-the-scenes work that's not pretty, not
Yeah,
glamorous.
nobody sees all that.
It sets the stage for the things that people more visually see going on. Without this kind of work, you don't have the foundations you need to be able to move forward. So hopefully we'll get a couple zones. I believe we will. But they're not unlimited. So there's going to be there's going to be quite a bit of disappointment, and there'll be some happy people. We'll let you know when we know more. Good job, Don, to you and your team.
We probably need to make sure we submit this to our state reps and senator and make sure they're advocating for
Absolutely.
keeping this in there.
Can I give you that too?
Okay.
Before you
Okay.
step down?
We did send the release out on this last week. We'll just
Yeah, I
reissue that
didn't see the
release.
media here today, so we may need to send that out.
We'll give them the PowerPoint
Sure.
release. What, did you have something happen?
Did it
there?
already get sent out?
I can fix it now, I held on to the.
Was there a typo or something?
Nothing major, nothing major. Yeah, nothing major.
Okay.
It's okay.
That's
why
what
I
happens,
proofread.
that's what happens when you rush.
That's why I proofread.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Don.
We're at public comment.
Yes, we are. Anyone wishing to address the board? Good morning, Jeff.
It's a little slip of the finger there.
Well, you got-
Somebody, Jeff's already coming up, and then we'll
You-
get you, Rosa.
Come up after Jeff.
Jeff's always eager.
Good morning, Commissioners and other dignitaries. I'm Jeff Baxter, 160 Burns Road, City of Elyria, Ohio. I stand before you this morning because we have accepted ways of annually hearing from elected officials. We have the State of the Union address. Our governor has delivered a State of the State address. Our two biggest cities, Elyria and Lorain, both had State of the City addresses. But the thing that I thought about was what's missing. Well, I think we need a State of the County address. You know, I think that we have 3 elected commissioners. We have a president, a vice president, and a member. And I think that the citizens of Lorain County deserve to have a State of the County address. There's a lot of other communications in a lot of other ways, but these annual speeches allow the elected officials once a year to come to the community and say, this is where we're at. And I think that's missing for Lorain County. You know, I've stood before you before in the past, and I've spoken a lot about communications. And one of the things I like to think is that I don't just come and complain, and I want to provide a solution, and this is a thought from me to you. You know, there's a lot of things going on. You know, what are the good things that happened last year? You know, we need to know about that. What didn't go quite so well? Where were the problems that we had? Were the financial goals of the county met? There's a lot of changes in the finances in the last year. There's some influx, some downgrading of funds that came from the state and the federal perhaps. How do they work into that? You know, what are the biggest plans for the year to come? You know, it would be nice to understand from your point of views, what are really the top 5 projects, the things that are going on, the things that are going to impact the county, and clearly lay it out for citizens. Don't make them try and read between the lines on articles in the Chronicle and the Journal and what they see on the website if they go there, things like that. As a county, are we moving in the right direction? What are the big problems that we have that we really need to get addressed? There's a lot of things in financing. Mr. Court has laid out some things today about the short term, the long term, moving from construction status into long-term payment status, things of that. So again, I would implore you, be transparent, share information with the voters, you know, communicate with them. You know, to the voters of Lorain County, you know, they also have an opportunity to communicate. November's coming. You know, there's going to be an election, and they also have a chance to communicate with you. Thank you.
Rosa?
Rosa.
Good morning. Rosa Gee, City of Sheffield Lake Councilwoman. April's a great month for Sheffield Lake. We have 2 events that we're hoping we'll see some of you at. April 3rd, 9 a.m., we are having the grand opening of our Goodwill store in the Sheffield Lake Shopping Center. Also, in April, April 9th, 6:30 p.m. at the Joyce Hanks Community Center, we are having our very first senior roundtable. What this is we are trying to get back our community center as a community center, and we want the input from residents as to what they'd like to see at the community center. There's also a poll on Facebook for people to give suggestions on what they'd like to see done at the community center. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosa.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address the board this morning? Come on up, Joe.
Sure,
Yeah,
absolutely.
without it, Joe, you're always welcome.
Joe Gee Senior, Sheffield Lake. First of all, I'd like to thank the commission for all their help and support with Lorain County Veterans Treatment Court, especially our transportation issues. And I would like to speak to the commissioners about storage for veterans. We've been receiving large items and furniture, and I haven't been around because we were real busy, and I knew that, and I was waiting for quieter times. But there is a great need. Yes, Mr. Cortez spoke to you about that. And
Well, I do, Joe, and I thought this was taken care of, and it wasn't. We have a building on 28th Street in Lorain that I had thought was going to receive some renovations vis-a-vis federal grant for the invasive species eradication program, because we have to house a great deal of equipment and trucks and vans. Much to my chagrin, somehow that didn't get off the ground and get done last summer. And I have a lot of room over there. So I'm re-looking at that right now, and I thought it was conveniently located right down the street from Valor Home and centrally located to other things in the community. So I need to get on top of that. You know the building I'm talking about.
Yes.
There, but there's been no action on that building, and I'm not pleased with that. So I'm going to go back again and do that. And Don, you and I and Pat need to sit down and talk about that, and hopefully we can turn this around in a few months, and then I'll be able to offer you the space that I said I could offer you 8 or 9 months ago.
thank you.
Well, I'm sorry. My apologies, because I had issued some instructions, and they were broad-based and macro, but I had thought we were working towards a goal, and I didn't clearly define my expectations there, and I'm going to clearly define my expectations. So we'll have some ability for you in a few months.
Well, thank you very much for your concern and help with veterans.
Thanks for what you do for the veterans, Joe. As you know, I'm a 20-year veteran, and so anything I can do to help the vets and move forward, I'll be there for you guys.
Well, thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you for yours, too.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Joe. Anyone else wishing to address the board this morning?
Jason?
Yep. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you this morning? Good to see you again.
Jason Monschein, Eaton Township Trustee. I won't hold up too much time here. Ultimately, I had no plans coming here this morning until I received some information of another potential annexation that could be brought before this board sometime this year, maybe at the beginning of next year. With that on the side, I was requesting that the engineer's office review some of the facts that I brought up from the last annexation with Elyria. I was recently told last week that they had offered an opinion and would not review the information I brought forward. While I respect an opinion, I want them to review the facts. And the facts are, until I'm proven wrong, that there was multiple things out of the Ohio County Commissioner's checklist here that were not met. Everything needed to be a yes. If you go through the paperwork, and I don't know if you guys or any of you filled this out as we went, but I had mentioned in our hearing that I had 13 things wrong. In here, when I filled out the checklist myself, there's 14 things. Ultimately, besides the legal description and the map that I brought forward, the next day after your decision, I was already contacted by a resident, and I believe he then came here, that said he was surrounded by the City of Elyria. I know he was, but of course, an opinion was offered by the engineer's office that that was not the case. But I didn't need to look at a map to see that, for the fact that I know the area and I know what was being proposed. And that's just one of many. If you notice when we go through this, and I'm not going to break it all down, but number 10, you have 3 X's before that. Number 10, a list of parcels. And I only really want to pound these facts because if we have another annexation coming, I really didn't come to hear myself talk at these things. I'm truly fighting for the Township of Eaton and don't want to lose any more land. I'm none too happy that I just lost 36 acres, and I believe that was done on errors, that they didn't meet the requirements. I don't think the City of Elyria deserves 36 more acres. I think, and I know that while Columbia Township might be the fastest growing township or developing township right now, Eaton Township will be that township, if not this year, in the next few years. And I don't want to keep losing land just where we don't have, perhaps because of sewer districts, facilitated planning areas, which you guys are well aware of. But notice number 10, a list of parcels. And that was something I kept trying to get across. And we know that they were splitting parcels in half. They weren't annexing full parcels. The legal description that they provided was correct for lines they drew on a map, but they did not provide the correct legal description for the parcels they had listed. And that is just one of the things, along with the map that I pointed out, there was 5 errors. They didn't even list 2 parcels on the map. It wasn't an accurate map, and so on and so forth. When the legal description was done correctly, they don't meet the 5% under number 15. They would have had too much of a perimeter. It just snowballs on, and that's where I get the minus 14 things that weren't met when they all have to be met. I would ask that I had sent an email to Mr. Carney that, since I was told by others in his office that they wouldn't review it, I asked that he'd either review it personally or send it out to a third party so that we don't come in here and bicker around on these things in the future. You know, I was sworn in, I was here to tell the truth, and until I'm proven wrong, I was the only one that I know telling the truth or providing the facts how I saw it. And again, I think this was done and allowed with errors, and I'd ask that whatever powers you may have over the engineer's office, that you request that they review it or send it out to a third party for review, so that, and I'll stand corrected if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I was darn right on this. So appreciate your time. Look it over.
Jason.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else wishing to address the board this morning? A motion to go into executive session is outlined by the county administrator and assistant county prosecutor.
I'll second that motion.
Don, I see you and Lisa.
Mr. Kalo?
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
This has been a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda for a printable copy of the agenda.